Hey there, welcome to day 42. If you have been following this challenge, this tutorial, whatever you might call it so far, I say thank you very much. And I welcome you to day 42 of the Python programming challenge. Yesterday, I introduced you to classes. Today, why not go a step further and talk about instance methods, class methods, and static methods. If that sounds like something you want to learn, to the screen. Day 42. Day 42. Day 42. Hey there, and welcome to day 42. We're continuing on classes. If you did not watch yesterday's video, I suggest you do that before you even start this video because we talked about how to define a class, the properties, the methods, and attribute and properties are the same thing. But we talked about it all, and we will be continuing on what we talked about yesterday. So if you have not watched yesterday's video, please go do that. So today we will be talking about class method, static method. Instance method was what we did yesterday, but I'll just brush over it. So instance methods are the most commonly used methods in Python. So it requires using the self parameters, like I said, self parameters, which refers to the instance of a class. So this is the class that we did yesterday. You see, I added more functions. I added the it function, and then I added more attributes. So when we run this, we get that the 6-year-old husky said wolf and the 6-year-old husky ate biscuits. So this is the instance for eating, and this is the instance for backing. And it always takes the self. I know when we are first defining a function in a class, it takes the init and then the self and the rest of our attributes. And while for the other instance, we don't have other attributes, so it's just the self. If we have others, it's also going to take that. So back and it are the instance method because they access the instance attributes. So back and it, they access the breed and the age attributes. So that's why they are called the instance method. So now let's go to class method. Class methods are used when you want a method to work at a class level rather than an instance level. So let me take this that we have here, and then let's create a class method for it. And when you're using a class method, you have to use the add class method. That is the decorator. You have to use this. And the first parameter in this case is the CLS. Remember, for the instance method, we use self, while for this one, for class method, we'll use the CLS. So now let's imagine that, stop with the imagination. We want to calculate the total number of dogs that we're going to use in our class. So first, at the beginning, I'm going to have a variable that is total dogs, and it's going to be 0. Class attribute total dog is 0. And then what I want to calculate, I'm not doing it at function level, I'm doing it at class level. So I want to calculate the total number of instance that I create. So here in my init, I'm going to have a counter that counts the number of the dogs. So I'll have total dogs. And what I mean by counter, it's going to be adding 1 to the total dogs that is 0 here. So I'd have total dogs plus equal to 1. So for every time that we go through the init function, it's going to always add 1 to our total dogs. So the total dogs plus or equal to 1. And then we still have the instances of for backing and the one for heating. And now for my class method, I want to write a function that will get the total number of dogs. So I have here, this is my class method. So we have get total dogs. And remember CLS, like we said here, CLS is always the first parameter in our class method, while self is always the first parameter in our instance method. And then I want to print out the total dogs, CLS dot the total dogs that we have here. It is not inside any of the function, it is at class level. And then I would run this. And then you see it is used to define the class method total dogs, and its method that access the class attribute, not the function. So then for this, I have to have more than one instance of class, or you can have, if you have just one, then it will be just one that you would get. But if you have more than one, then you can be able to calculate the total. So now let's create instances of our class. So we have our dog1 and we have our dog2, and then we're calling the class method, which is to get the total dogs. And when I run this, I should get that my total dogs is 2. So I've showed you how to use the class method, and this is a simple way of how to use the class method. And you can see, compared to the instance, its instance is works at the function level, while class goes above, it works at the class level. So we're able to create instances, and then we're able to call the class method. You see dog, what is dog? Dog is our class name, dot the function that we're calling get total dogs. And class we use CLS, and instance method we use class method, sorry, we use CLS, and then instance we use self. So next we go to static method. Static methods are methods that don't require access to the class like class method. They behave just like regular functions but belong to the class namespace. So when you want to use static method is when you need a utility that performs such some operation that you don't necessarily need access to the class. So let me show you like a simple function that checks if the age of the dog is even or not. So let's have our class together, the same class that we've been using. So now I want to create a static method that will check if the age is even or not. Same as with the class method. To have a static method, you use the static decorator. Use the decorator, so we would have static method. And then here we would now have our function. Our dev is even age. So I want to check the age that the user gives me, if it is even or not. Here, for instance, the first parameter has to be self. For class method, the first parameter has to be CLS. For static method, there is no need. Now, what is my parameter? That is the age that the user gives me. So that is age. And then I want to calculate if that age is even, if it's an even number or not. So I'm going to return that the age is divisible by 2 without remainder. Divisible by 2. Do not forget the 2, and it's going to give me 0. So this is how you've created your static method. If we're checking if the age is going to be divisible by 2 or if it is not. So then the static method decorator, remember this is our decorator, defines that is even age method, and it checks whether the provided age is even or not. So when I run this, we'll have to now call our functions. So we would have dog, which is our class, dot is even age, and then we're going to give it a number of the age of our dog, and then it will return. Maybe it is true that the age is even, or maybe it is false that the age is not even. So when I run this, we get false and true, because 9 is not an even number and 6 is an even number. So you see, in this function, we're able to show the class method, the static method, and then the instance. So that is it for the tutorial. We talked about the instance method that works on individual instance level, the class that operates at the class level, and the static method that doesn't really require access to the instance of the class, because you kind of look at it that this is kind of like standing alone. It's just taking the inputs that we give it and is returning this. It doesn't depend on the instance or the class method. It's like kind of like a standalone, but it's still in the function, regular function placed in the class. So this is a practice question for you to try out. Try it out. Let me know your thoughts of classes so far, and I'll see you tomorrow. That is it for this video. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And as always, the link to the Jupyter Notebook is in the description, so check it out and let me know what you think of our video so far. We're going. Thank you. Bye for now.